Okay, so now we've got those written down, and I'm going to move this up so I can have more space. The next step we're going to take is we're going to create the illusion of volume. And first I'm going to create a light source. So here's my sun. Yours could be a light bulb or whatever, something that is serving as light. So light in the top left-hand corner. And we're going to draw 4 basic forms. So the 4 basic forms are, starting with this, let's go with a circle. Now a circle is a shape, and it is not a form, but we're going to turn it into a form. And if you don't know the difference, so a circle, this is what a circle looks like, right? It's round and it's closed. It has no changes in value. It's all white, or it could be all dark. But it would still be a flat circle. Let's get my blending stump. So whether the circle is all white or all gray, it is still just a circle. It's 2-dimensional. It's a shape. Let me get this eraser and clean up the edges. So, I mean, there's a little bit of variation in the value, but for the most part, it's flat. So this is a shape, and there's a difference between shape and form. So a shape is just all one value. A form, on the other hand, this is my form. I'm going to draw a circle again, and you can see what I'm doing is these are searching lines. They're just kind of scratch marks, kind of to help me find the shape. Okay, so typically what I ask students is, if this is the light source, where is the lightest part of the shape going to be, or the form going to be? And typically they point out this area, and they are accurate. This is where the direct light hits, and this is the highlight spot. Then I ask them where the darkest area is, and typically they point to the opposite end over here. And that's where I blow their mind and tell them they are not right. So true, typically this side of the form is not going to be the lightest, depending on where it's situated in the world. I'll explain that here in a minute. But let's say here is the sunshine. I'm going to start with shading in a C shape, like a backward C, like a rounded, curved, dark area. This is what I'm calling the core shadow. And I'll tell you why this is the darkest part here in a minute. That's not always the case, but in many cases it is. So I'm not going to blend it by hand, well, with a pencil. I'm going to use my blending stump and just kind of shade it over to the right so that it gradually gets a little bit lighter as it goes to the right. And I'm using small circles, and I would recommend using small circles. And then on the other side, I'm going to be even lighter, blending it to the left and towards the light. But as I go towards the light, I'm going to lift up on the pressure and try and blend this even more, like cross-hatching it. So as I'm going towards the light, I'm going to lift up even more to leave the highlighted area alone. Okay, so now you can see there's a form. It gives the illusion that this circle has now turned into a sphere. Okay, so that's the difference between a shape and a form. A form gives you the illusion of 3D. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shade in the outer part of this form. The reason I'm doing this is because the more lines that you have outlining an object, the flatter it becomes. There are no like real lines that define the edges of this sphere. The line is an illusion. The line is the difference between dark and light that share this edge. So background, I'm going to turn dark. And so we have a dark against middle value here. So you see how that contrast, dark and light contrast, makes it pop out even more? It's always good practice to make sure you've got nice dark and light contrast. Okay, so now I'm going to blend this out. Kind of got rid of my shape over there, but who needs it? Okay, and then I'm going to take this really dirty blending stump and I'm going to create a cast shadow. So if there is a light source here, the cast shadow is going to kind of come over this way. And because there's already graphite on my blending stump, I'm just going to kind of make it elongated, make a shadow right here. Because we want that sphere to exist on some sort of plane, right? So there's my sphere, and I'm going to label it sphere. Oops, sphere, S-P-H-E-R-E. And I'm going to label this cast shadow. I'm going to label this light area reflected light. And I'm going to label this dark area core shadow. And this light area I'm going to call highlight. Okay, so that's how you would draw a sphere. And that's the difference between volume of a form and the flatness of a shape.